More rounds of thunderstorms blasting parts of central and eastern Kentucky. We'll highlight the potential for local high water coming up.
Today's court ruling is a win.
The battle between Governor Bevin and Attorney General Andy Beshear intensifies after a judge halts the governor's order to make over the U of L board.
They've been trying to raise money to open a homeless shelter in Jessamine County.
A homeless shelter is needed in every community.
But they've hit a problem with their project.
WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on this Friday. The wet weather just won't quit. More rounds of showers and storms are making their way across parts of the state.
It's a pattern that will continue into our weekend, and it's why our WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day continues. We begin with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
Guys, and the reason we kept this going is because the ground is saturated and any general summertime thunderstorm can create some flash flooding. And we are getting that now into Montgomery County, where we have reports now of some water rescues, our swift water rescues that are underway just to the south of Mount Sterling because of flooded roads and people unfortunately trying to drive through flooded roads. They're getting stranded. The water is swift, and now first responders have got to get out there and rescue these folks. Flash flood warning is out until 8:15 for a part of Montgomery County that is just to the south of Mount Sterling. Here's the area where we have that swift water rescue that is underway, and we're getting a lot of reports near the Kidville Road area, Levy Road, where we're getting the road is flooded. You have moving water, and people are still trying to drive through it, and they're getting stuck. They're stranded. Fire department rescue officials on the scene now, and they're having to rescue these people. Earlier in the newscast tonight, we had Jim Caldwell showing why you should never drive through a flooded road, that it wouldn't take much at all. And lo and behold, here we are now with some water rescues that are underway because people are driving through flash flooding. Turn around, don't drown. Those are words to live by, and I mean that literally and figuratively. We go into parts of Estill County, Powell County, into Madison County. Heavy rain here. Got to watch the Waco to Richmond area because these showers are lining up. And what will happen in a setup like this, you have so much moisture in the atmosphere that radar is going to underestimate the rainfall totals because of the tropical environment. So right on top of Richmond, hey, we know it's coming down here to beat the band over toward Lake Reba. And that thunderstorm is actually showing up on our live sky cam, though it continues to move slowly toward the east. Back to the west of us. Thunderstorms are trying to flare up again in that broken line. Lexington area, we're okay for now. Keep an eye on this thunderstorm complex near Louisville and some additional storms that are out there to our west. Guys, we'll continue to watch that situation unfolding into Montgomery County, and we'll watch additional storms that are going up out there as well.
Chris, thank you. And now to the developing story we're tracking out of eastern Kentucky tonight. Police agencies from several counties are searching for a man wanted for a string of thefts.
The search for Timothy Lawson started earlier this week. The Clay County Sheriff says Lawson has stolen about a dozen vehicles and robbed several people. The search picked up this morning when the Owsley County Sheriff's Office says Lawson broke into a home near the intersection of Highway 846 and Jess Bishop Road. They say Lawson got involved in a shootout with the homeowner there. Lawson has also been spotted in Clay and Perry counties this afternoon. The sheriff says Lawson is considered armed and dangerous. Keep checking WKYT.com and the WKYT News app for updates.
A wrench thrown into the governor's plans to make over the University of Louisville Board of Trustees. Today, a state judge temporarily blocked Governor Bevin's order to abolish and replace the board. And this comes as Governor Bevin's new board has already accepted the resignation of the university's president. Garrett Weimer's in Frankfort with how today's injunction will affect that decision in our top story at 6.
U of L's new Board of Trustees accepted President James Ramsey's resignation just 2 days ago, agreeing to terms that will pay Ramsey nearly $700,000. The Attorney General says he understands that today's ruling means that that decision still stands.
And I think it's the second footnote. He suggests that because the injunction went into place today, that actions beforehand would stand.
That injunction stripped the new board of its power going forward, though, until the AG's lawsuit is resolved. A spokesperson for Governor Matt Bevin said in a statement that they believe he had the authority to abolish the board last month, then create a new one, and they're confident that the injunction will be reversed on appeal. Beshear disagrees.
Because it's not political, It's not partisan, and it's not personal. It's my duty. It's my duty to enforce the law. It's my duty to uphold the Constitution.
The governor's office fired back with another statement saying Beshear is, quote, all politics all the time, and calling Beshear's actions an obvious attempt to protect the old status quo. Until a final decision is made, Beshear says he believes the injunction puts U of L's previous board back in power. At the Capitol in Frankfort, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
Kentucky's Attorney General says to remember the injunction is just a preliminary step. The trial court still has to make a final decision. Andy Beshear says it quite probably will end up in the state Supreme Court.
New tonight, a warrant has been issued for a man in connection to the search for a missing Southern Kentucky teenager. The Laurel County Sheriff's Office says 16-year-old Kaylee Lockaby has been missing since about 4:30 Tuesday morning. Her foster parent reported her missing. Deputies believe Kaylee may be with 21-year-old Skylar Barnett of Knox County. Kaylee was last seen wearing black leggings, a red shirt, and black flip-flops. She has 2 tattoos, one on her shoulder and one on her forearm. A trial date has been set for a man accused of killing a Lexington pizza delivery driver. Lexington police say Trey Relford stabbed Saladin Jamoud during a robbery last year. Police found his body lying in a breezeway at the Walnut Hill apartment complex last year. Along with murder, Relford faces tampering with evidence and robbery charges. His trial date has been set for January 16th.
Some good news to pass along tonight. A Central Kentucky woman injured in a cycling accident in France is slowly improving. In a Facebook post today, former state auditor and former Secretary of State Bob Babbage says his wife Laura has gone from unconscious to conscious. 9 days ago, Laura suffered a serious head injury while riding a bike in an event that ran in conjunction with the Tour de France. She was transferred from a hospital in France to the neurosurgery trauma unit at UK Hospital earlier this week. Babbage adds that Laura is responding to simple commands. Doctors will do more analysis of Laura's injury this weekend and next week.
The Jessamine County Homeless Coalition is upset after finding out the city of Nicholasville has decided not to provide some much-needed funding to build a homeless shelter for the community. New at 6, I spoke with several people passionate about the project and a legal expert about the city's argument against funding. The building doesn't look like much now, but Johnny Tipton has a clear vision of what the Jessamine County Homeless Shelter can be.
We are our complete pantry, shelves top to bottom for the whole facility. Back here and back.
The Jessamine County Homeless Coalition only needs about $20,000 more to meet their fundraising goal of $150,000 to get their facility up and running.
Extends all the way to the front door.
But they've hit a roadblock with the city of Nicholasville. Now, what this all boils down to is the city attorney here in Nicholasville says this project doesn't meet public purpose. We caught up with the city attorney of Wilmore, who disagrees.
Essentially, a city has general power to make any expenditure that they feel benefits the health, welfare, or safety of their citizens. We believe that this expenditure would do just that.
Because the term is so loosely defined, it's up to each city council to decide what meets the requirements of public purpose.
We analogize it to the fire department. In the fire department, people go their whole lives and never lose their home to fire. And so, yet we still make those expenditures to the fire department because we believe it's in the public's benefit.
Pastor Gary Kupar, who spent years working with the homeless, has seen firsthand what happens when communities don't provide a safety net for their citizens.
We watched people die. People died of starvation and they died of exposure. A homeless shelter is needed in every community.
Regardless of what the city decides to do, the Homeless Coalition says this project will be completed.
With or without the city, God's making this happen, absolutely.
Use Jesus math. If he could take 5 loaves of fishes and end up feeding 5,000, surely we can find a few grand to build this building.
The coalition hopes to have the shelter up and running in the fall. We reached out to Nicholasville City Attorney, the mayor, and several other public officials, none of whom returned our calls.
The Ohio Valley Regional Baseball Tournament was supposed to kick off Thursday in Montgomery County, but Mother Nature had some plans of her own. Thursday's games were postponed. Our Mike Linden caught up with a unique grounds crew as they showed up this morning to make sure today's games would go on.
Good eye, good walk!
It was a long drive for Nathan Wallman and his family to watch his son Connor play baseball at Easy Walker Field in Montgomery County.
It's about 8 hours, 8 hours in the pouring rain all the way through, and then we got down here and it's continued to rain since then.
1, 2, 3, 8 down! The Ohio Valley Regional was supposed to kick off on Thursday, but But heavy rain forced organizers to make some changes.
And we actually delayed the games for 2 hours. Then another rainstorm hit, and we decided to postpone all day yesterday.
Needless to say, Mother Nature has made it difficult for the tournament to go on as planned, but groundskeepers weren't going to let the weather stop them. They say when they arrived earlier this morning, they spent most of their time shoveling mud and dirt out of each dugout so the kids could play ball.
The grounds crew showed up at 5:30 in the morning to get the fields ready, but these men aren't normally groundskeepers. These men are actually inmates at the Montgomery County Jail out on work release.
And we took kind of like essentially a grass blow dryer type thing and blew water puddles, put field dry, raked, I mean, just anything that we asked them to do, they do.
Here we go, gotta get in there.
For those like Nathan Wallman, who traveled a long way to watch his son play baseball, he's glad the grounds crews were able to clean the soggy fields up.
Things look fantastic. This crew has done a great job, and I'm sure they've been working around the clock to get things ready for us.
In Montgomery County, Mike Linden.
Good luck to both teams. Let's play ball.
WKYT.
Pretty awesome effort there to get those kids on that field. The tournament will continue on as planned through the weekend, barring any delays from the weather.
Still to come on WKYT, he's sharing the wealth. Well, a chance to win the wealth, why a Central Kentucky priest is handing out lotto tickets.
Plus, the 2018 World Equestrian Games still do not have a location, and it won't be in Kentucky. Why state leaders say they will not make a bid.
Flash flooding ongoing into parts of the region now. Up next, I'll show you why that may continue into the coming weekend. We'll track additional storms in a moment. WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day continues, and we have been seeing rounds of showers and thunderstorms all summer long, waterlogged ground, and now we're getting some additional thunderstorms out there. And the storms that we're seeing today are really nothing to write home about. Nothing severe, but they are putting down a lot of water in a short amount of time, and we're getting rain on a soaked ground. Flash flood warning is out for a part of Montgomery County that will go until 8:15. And the reason we kept this WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day going because of the local flash flooding issues. And we're watching this particular area in Montgomery County near Kidville Road and Levy Road, where swift water rescues are currently underway. We can show you the video from this particular area as of right now. And obviously there you see the roadway that is covered in water, and you're looking down the road there, and what is apparently happening with all this is that we've been getting cars trying to drive through that, and the water just was getting deeper and deeper, and all of a sudden those folks that were trying to drive through that, they couldn't make it. And that water, as you could see there on some video that was looking kind of away from the scene, but all of a sudden now that water was up and it is moving quickly. So turn around, don't drown, never try to drive through a flooded roadway. It doesn't matter how deep you think that water is, chances are you're going to underestimate it. Heavy rain right now into Clay City, into Powell County, back to the west into a part of Estill County, Waco, 52. We are rocking now coming out of Madison County into Estill County with some heavy rain. And downtown Richmond, I would guarantee you parts of Richmond have likely picked up at least a half-inch of rain, if not more, over the past 30 minutes or so. Starting to slowly sink toward the south of the downtown area. So Richmond looking toward your south, that may be where the heaviest rains are falling. But this is now a little band of showers that extends across the border into Garrett County. We'll see if that can produce any flash flooding into Madison County. Thunderstorm complex here to the north of Louisville is going to try to take aim on the capital city of Frankfort in about an hour or two. And then some additional storms near Owensboro, racing toward the east, so down the BG Parkway, get into 65 around E-Town. More thunderstorms are on the way. All of this is ahead of a storm system that is yet to move in here. Hour-by-hour forecast for the evening, and this is the highest resolution model that we have. What does that mean? It means it kind of has the best vision. If we're talking about just eyes here, same thing with the computer model. Watch what it does with that complex of storms into central Kentucky. It gets it in here, then tries to weaken it just a little bit. And then as the sun sets this evening into the wee hours of the morning, notice how things start to calm down a little bit. But then as we go into tomorrow, we may start to fire up those scattered thunderstorms fairly early in the day. Forecast for the final weekend, final few days for the month of July, similar to what we've had for the rest of July. Storm or two around. How about we go into August? Can we change it up? Nope. Heavy downpours a possibility early next week. A little different hour-by-hour forecast. Does not have the best vision, so it's more of a broad-scale model in a general sense, trying to pick out showers and thunderstorms, and it'll show a lot of green, and all that means is that this model says, I know we're going to have some storms around tomorrow, I just don't know exactly where. That's the model talking, and we're going to have more storms around on Sunday too. Waterlogged ground, typical summertime thunderstorm can now produce some flash flooding. That's just the setup we're in. First 5 days for the month of August, which is kind of hard to believe. We'll see temperatures into the upper 80s, daily threat for a shower or a thunderstorm. Guys, that situation in Montgomery County, small scale, but it shows you the power of the rains that we're seeing right now. And never drive through a flooded roadway.
6 inches, so I'm thinking about that much on the road.
And if it is flowing,
at that point, do not drive.
That's right. It could take your car off the road. And you know what else you don't know when you're looking at a road? You see the water there, and you think, oh, it's just an inch or two. But what if that roadway has been washed out underneath?
Yeah.
You can't tell.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Chris.
You bet.
Well, hopefully the rain will hold off tonight for Lexington Green's Lakeside Live event. It kicked off a few minutes ago at 6. This is a live picture out at Lexington Green. The Twiggenberries, a local British rock cover band, are performing tonight. Lakeside Live will also have live music again tomorrow when the Driftwood Gypsies perform.
The 2018 World Equestrian Games still do not have a home, but we know it will not be in Kentucky. The games were supposed to be in Bromont, Quebec, but the city did not have the financial resources or sponsor backing needed to pull off the games, so the agreement was terminated. Today, Kentucky state leaders announced they will not submit a bid to host it because 2 years is just too short, they say, of notice. In a statement, the Cabinet of Tourism and the Kentucky Horse Park agreed that hosting the games 2 years from now would put taxpayers at too much of a risk. Lexington last hosted the games in 2010. The horse park also says it is preparing a strong proposal to host them again in 2022.
A Central Kentucky priest is sharing the chance to win millions with everyone.
Today, Father Jim Sitchko bought 100 Powerball tickets, and he's been passing them out to strangers. He's also been putting them on windshields. Father Jim tells us that he wants to show people that kindness still exists, and he wants to give back what he's received from other people. In case you're wondering, the Powerball jackpot is $478 million. So if somebody wins, I wonder if they'll share with
They
Father
should.
Jim. They should.
And us.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know. When the season starts, the pressure will be back on quarterback Drew Barker.
Well, yes, it will. And what is quarterbacks coach Darren Hinshaw telling Barker as practice gets ready to start next week? And the Paris Greyhounds, coming off a great season, they're hoping to put together another one. Sports is next. Sophomore Drew Barker will be the face of Kentucky's new offensive scheme in the coming season, and it all gets started next week when the Cats report to campus on Thursday. The Burlington native started the final 2 games of the season last year for Kentucky, but he's had to learn a brand new system under incoming offensive coordinator Eddie Grant.
He's ready to go. He's anxious. He wants to go out there and prove to everybody that he's the quarterback that will lead this team. So we're excited about that. All I tell him right now, let's just worry about the first play against Southern Miss. That's all we got to worry about. And take all that other stuff and don't read the papers, all that stuff. Just get ready to go play one snap. And then we'll go to the next snap after that.
Counting down to the start of the season, we are at 36 days. 36 worn by Antoine Huffman, Lona Sieber, and Jeff Pecoro. Boom Williams and JoJo Kemp each scored 36 points last season, 6 touchdowns apiece. Tim Couch threw 36 touchdown passes in 1998, and in the Outback Bowl, his first TD, 36 yards to Lance Mickelson. And 36, the number of punts returned by All-American Derek Abney in 2002, leading the SEC and setting a new UK record. You can check out our countdown at WKYT.com. 2015, that was a return to glory for Paris football as the Greyhounds went 11-1 on the season. As Brian Milam tells us in tonight's 27 teams in 27 days, it's now time for an encore performance.
It was a joy. It was a heck of a ride to go on with those seniors. They carried us a lot. It was just a blast to be on that ride with them.
Paris pride is back, finally. Last year's seniors won 35 games in 4 years and returned to the region finals. The Greyhounds did lose quite a bit of talent. Kobe Garrett, James Clark, and the Dumfords, just to name a few. They accounted for 53 touchdowns and almost 3,500 yards.
You know, me and like the other seniors now, we've been following their footsteps, and you know, it was a good ride, and now we just trying to, you know, take it to the next level.
Austin Maggard returns for his senior season at quarterback, and he has poise, and he is right on the money through the air.
I feel more experienced. I think the game will be a little bit slower for me. It's easier to read the defense, and it'll just come more easy to me.
Pedigree. His dad was a good quarterback, played at Paris. He's come from good stock. His name, good name. The Maggard name's a good name. So, you know, I expect him to be that way. I wouldn't expect any less from him.
It was like turning back the clock last season in Paris. The city was electric about football once again, and the Hounds want that winning feeling one more time.
God willing. God willing. I'll leave it at that, because as long as we stay injury-free and the young men come out and use their ability, I think we can go as far as they want us to go.
For 27 teams in 27 days, I'm Brian Milo.
Thank you, Brian. Team USA plays its next exhibition tonight in Chicago. Back to you.
A final check of your First Alert forecast is next.
And then on the CBS Evening News, drivers don't like them, but what happens when cities remove red light traffic cameras? That story at 6:30.
Defender Radar Network showing some very small showers and thunderstorms into central Kentucky, but packing a lot of heavy rain. I'm watching stuff around Louisville as well. Flash flooding still underway in Montgomery County, where we have crews there with high water rescues underway. Watch Richmond as well. Could be some flash flooding there.
All right, much more to come tonight at 11 o'clock.